Hello and welcome back to Style Your Confidence podcast. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple, hello. But if you are watching on YouTube, then you will see I have a special guest with me. Now, this is Zikra, and her story is incredible and it's a lot of to do with like mental health, which I know a lot of us can suffer with it. And so Zikra's anxiety started when she was in school and she was diagnosed at the age of 16. She's always been open about her mental health journey, but in 2021, she went through severe trauma. It affected her mental health so much to the point that she lost all her confidence and self-trust. She isolated herself, she was scared to leave the house, and she hated being around others or in big crowds. She hated how low her confidence was and how it was impacting her, so she decided to do something about it. She started therapy and counselling, and it helped her so much that she started leaving the house again, speaking to her friends, and just being comfortable in her own company. She also worked on growing her confidence by taking herself out on solo dates, putting herself in uncomfortable situations, and making journaling a daily non negotiable. Since doing this, her confidence has grown so much and she just feels unstoppable. So, welcome, Zikra. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Lovely to have you on and to share your stories. So, would you like to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, as you said, my name is Zikra. I'm 27. I'm currently a full-time business owner. So, I recently started my business, the Femme Creators, which is basically to help women CEOs and creators to build a standout personal brand and just live boldly and authentically. And I'm also a UGC creator and I'm studying law at university.
We love that. Absolutely love that. Very good ambition right there. So, I want to go back to the very beginning when you were first diagnosed at the age of 16. Did something happen to you that actually caused your anxiety?
Exams, to put it very briefly. I didn't know it was anxiety at the time. I just thought, okay, I'm doing my GCSEs, everyone's going to be stressing out,
Mhm.
usual stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
think there was like something actually wrong. Until I remember, was it my geography exam, and I just had a panic attack, and it was like my first time I'd ever experienced that.
Oh, wow.
So I literally had to be taken out of the exam hall, and like as you already know, like exam halls in the UK are so like scary. Like you're in this like
Yeah.
massive like room. It's not even a room, it's like either like the gym
Yeah,
or
the sports hall.
oh my God, honestly. It's so traumatizing. But yeah, so like in this like massive room with like hundreds of other students. So yeah, that's when I had my first panic attack. And like I said, I had no idea what it was. All I remember it was just horrible. And yeah, I got taken out of the exam hall, saw the nurse in school, and yeah, she was like, "Oh, I think you've had a panic attack." And I just looked at her like, "Oh, okay. I don't know what that is, but whatever." Long story short, I went to my GP, obviously explained like what I'd been going through and what's happened. And yeah, age of 16, that's when I was diagnosed with anxiety.
Wow, that's insane as well, to the fact that you went through all that, didn't even know exactly what was going on with you. Because I've had panic attacks before and they are not pleasant because you just think, what's going to happen to me? Like, it's very scary moment. And to obviously go through that at such a young age as well, it's just, oh, not
Yeah.
very, very good thing. But at least you managed to get a diagnosis as well and actually know what was going on with you, which is amazing. So you went through severe trauma in 2021. What was that time like for you?
Um, without going into too much detail because it's very triggering, and obviously everyone's going to be watching this, but it was the worst time of my life, to put it very
Mm.
briefly. It was so severe, like beyond imagination. Um, yeah, it was horrible. Like I was in such a dark place mentally that, and I'm normally someone like, if I go through something, I know that I'm gonna get through it.
Mm.
Like I know it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna like overcome whatever it is. But at that specific time, I literally thought there is no way on earth I'm gonna get through this. Like that's how severe it was. Um, yeah, it was just so bad. Like mentally, like I said, I was in such a dark place, and it affected me like in so many ways, like physically, emotionally. Like I wasn't really sleeping. I'd lost my appetite. Um, I was literally just so isolated. Like at one point, I was just in my bedroom constantly, like I would not leave the room. Um, and I had this fear of like something bad would happen if I left my room. So I was just constantly isolated in that room. Like I literally only ever left to use the bathroom and that was it. Like I'd eat in there, I'd sleep in there. I don't know how I was doing a law degree back then. This is obviously before I dropped out. So I was still studying then. Don't know how I was doing that through all of what was going on. Um, but yeah, it was traumatic.
I can imagine. It sounds traumatic. It almost felt like as if you've just been completely shut off from society, like from the whole entire world. It's almost like prison, like really, the way you just explained that. And it just that sounds awful, really. Yeah, I don't really know how you went through that, to be
I
honest.
don't know. I honestly don't know. Like I think back and I'm like, it feels like my life was literally a movie. Like
Mm,
it was the kind of shit that you'd literally see in movies or you'd see in like series. Like it's not something that you'd think, oh my God, I'm actually gonna go through it in real life.
yeah,
Sometimes I just sit and like question it and be like, wow, did that actually happen? Like, did I really go through that? I think because it was just so severe and so intense that like I never saw a way out. And now
mm,
that I'm like on the other side, I'm like, I don't even know how that happened. Like, how did I even make it to where I am today? Because at one point I actually thought like, I don't think I'm going to be here. Like, that's how severe it was.
gosh, that sounds awful. And I think as well, because I know you on like a personal level, you're such like a positive person. So to think obviously you've gone through something like that just seems like worlds apart.
Yeah. Like, I
But
just
like
carried on
now,
showing up on social media at the time and like,
mm,
I didn't like give off a vibe like something was going wrong. Like, I was still just being me,
yeah,
which is just crazy. Like, I don't even know how I did that myself.
yeah. I think sometimes though, I think when you're dealt with such a bad hand at the time, I think you just find ways, don't you, to be like, I've got to deal with this and I've got to find a way to get on with it. And I think sometimes, yeah, it's harder than, being said than done, really. But sometimes it's just, yeah, you think I've got to find a way out somehow,
Yeah.
somehow. But yeah, so obviously you went through all that and you pretty much almost had like your line in the sand moment, if that's how we're going to say it, and thought basically enough was enough and you started therapy. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm fascinated by therapy. I think it's such an amazing tool to have.
Yeah. So, yeah, I decided that I was like, you know what, I just need to speak to someone. And
Mhm,
I think at the time as well, I felt like I didn't want to speak to family because they would end up worrying, especially because my family live in London and obviously I've moved to Birmingham. So I just didn't want them to worry or like know that something was going on when they're kind of like miles away.
mhm,
And at the time I spoke to a few of my friends, but then afterwards you just feel like you're a burden. And I just didn't
mhm,
want to keep going back to my friends. Um, so I thought, you know what? Obviously, there has to be someone else I can speak to, and that's when I thought, you know what, therapy would be a good idea. So I basically just booked a appointment with my GP and asked to get referred to therapy. It was a bit of a wait, as we know, everything else is in the NHS. Um, so yeah, it was a bit of a wait, like a good few months,
mhm.
several months actually. Um, and then yeah, I had my first appointment and yeah, I'd say therapy was definitely life-changing. Like I learned so
Mm.
much, but that first session I had, I think I felt more sorry for the therapist than I did for myself. Because I just cried throughout the whole like appointment. I was just thinking, I think he's gonna quit his job after this. Like, I'm clearly like insane. Like he's gonna think, what is wrong with this patient, and just quit being a therapist altogether. Um, but yeah, no, it was like the best thing that I'd done. And after I've had like a good, amount of sessions with him, um, he normally like after you've like finished your sessions, they would just discharge you.
Mm.
But he sent me a letter and he said, I think you could benefit from counselling because there's a lot more work to be done. And I was just like, oh my God, like, am I ever going to heal from this? So yeah, after I'd done therapy, I then moved on to counselling. And that was really good as well. But yeah, no, it was definitely life changing. I think just having someone like give you kind of like an outside perspective.
Mm,
And talking to someone who doesn't know you on a personal level,
yep.
it just helps so much more. Like there's no judgment, there's no like giving unsolicited advice. Like it's just very much a professional just
Mm.
helping you through like what it is you're trying to go through, like and overcome. So yeah, it definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, I think you've like nailed it on the head there, really, that it's so much easier, I think, to actually speak to strangers than it is to obviously speak to someone that is close to you. And I don't know why that is, but I personally feel the same. Like I could end up talking to a stranger about my life story rather than actually taking comfort into a family member or like a friend or something like that. But yeah, you've nailed it on the head there. And I love the fact though that you were just like, actually, I'm gonna go and do something about it. I'm gonna go to therapy, gonna have counseling. And I think when it comes to therapy as well, I think a lot of people associate it with like you need to have it as a bad thing to go to therapy when actually, you know, you could use therapy for anything. Like it's just good to have someone to talk to. And I think I know, especially a lot of us in the UK, we like to keep ourselves to ourselves. We bottle everything up. We don't want to talk about stuff when actually, if we do talk about things, everything's like a weight lifts off your shoulder. You feel so much lighter. It feels better. And obviously, it's a lot of healing, especially for you. You've gone through so much healing in yourself. But yeah, just incredible. So obviously you've done the therapy and done the counseling. So after all of that, how has your life changed since? Like, what are the things that you actually do now?
As the first thing I'd have to say is journaling. Like, oh my God. I feel like journaling is like the same as I feel like I see it as almost like an alternative to therapy.
Mm,
Like instead of talking to a person, I'm almost like talking to a book. But like
yep.
instead of talking, I'm just writing everything out. Um, and yeah, journaling has literally changed my life. Like honestly, it probably sounds a bit dramatic, but it quite literally has changed my life. Like the amount of journaling I have done like over the years,
Mm,
insane, like absolutely insane. Um, and then well, it's not been very recent, but like a few months ago, I went to B&M and I bought, and I know you'll remember this from like childhood days, but you know those like diaries that you used to get as a child and they have the little padlock and then you can write in there, lock it up with a key, no one ever knows your secrets. So I found one of those in B&M and I was like, do you know what? I need this. And I bought
Mm,
that and I've literally just been using that to like brain dump just anything that I want to get off. Like if someone's pissed me off, if someone's upset me, if like
mm,
basically any negative thoughts just go in there because then I feel like it's out of mind, out of sight. And
yep.
then the whole like locking it as well with a key just kind of it's like the cherry on top. It's like that's it, we're done with it now. Um yeah, no, journaling has just been absolutely amazing. I'd say like that's the main thing that I've really done to kind of get my confidence back. And then another thing is just kind of like putting myself in uncomfortable like situations.
Mm.
So I started going out on like solo dates again. And a few months ago I went to the Ivy for
Oh, I
brunch.
love the ivy.
Yeah. Went there for brunch and I thought it was going to be so scary because, you know, like you walk in and people are like dressed all fancy and guys are in
Mm,
suits and some of them are probably having like business meetings and whatever. So yeah, I thought it would be so daunting, but honestly, nobody cares.
no.
Like literally no one cares. No one looked at me and thought, oh, why is she sat by herself? I was like taking stories, like doing videos in there, and literally nobody cares. Like, I think it's like a mindset thing. Like we just tell ourselves, oh, you know, people are going to judge and people are going to look at us and what are they going to say and what are they going to think. But honestly, nobody gives a shit. Like people are too busy living their lives. Honestly,
Mm.
they don't care. Um, so yeah, I just like carried on doing what I was doing. Like I enjoyed my pancakes, didn't care like about the outside world. It's like I was just sat there and like it felt like I was by myself. Like I just
Mm,
blocked out everyone else and everything else. Um, and yeah, I'd say doing the solo dates really helped as well because it was really putting me in like uncomfortable situations.
yeah.
And like uncomfortable like environments. Because it takes a lot to just go somewhere on your own. Um, but yeah, I'd say those are the two things that I mainly did to kind of help change my life, basically.
Yeah. I think it's true because we get inside our heads way too much than what we actually need to. And I think, yeah, when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, especially being on your own, because I feel like a lot of people don't like to have like their own company. They don't like to be in their own company. And I think that's incredible in the fact that you just like, nope, I'm going to take myself to a solo date. I'm going to go to a bougie restaurant. I'm going to sit there, enjoy myself. And I just find that really amazing that you went out of your way and actually did that. And even to the fact when you said about going to B&M and stuff, that's a completely like 360 compared to where you were sitting in your room as almost like by yourself, not leaving anything. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it was crazy. Like there was like literally one point as well where I got so attached to my husband. Like
Mm,
it was starting to get unhealthy, I think. Like it I wouldn't say it ever caused arguments or anything like that. It was never that serious. But you know when you can just feel like something's slowly starting to kind of like take its effect on something.
yeah.
Uh, because I was just so scared and I kept telling myself like something bad is gonna happen. I got so attached to him to the point where like I was almost becoming like one of those like psycho controlling wives that would like text her husband like 7, 8 times a day and be like,
Mm,
where are you? When are you coming back home? What are you doing? How long till you're home? Like I was literally going crazy. Because I just feared being by myself so much to the point that like, and bear in mind I'm in my own house at this point, like I'm not living with anyone else. I'm in my own house, I'm in my own space, I've got my own privacy, but because I'd just made myself believe that something bad was going to happen, I just literally had a fear of being alone.
mm,
I just wanted to go everywhere with him. I didn't want him to be like going out. I didn't want, it's not even so much that I didn't want him to. It was just more so that like I was afraid.
yeah.
Like when he'd go to work, I would literally just be sat there like freaking scared, like something bad was going to happen or
Mm,
someone was going to turn up to my house. And I don't know, like it felt like I was literally in a horror movie at one point. Like
yeah.
you know, when you're just in the house by yourself and you think, I don't know, someone's gonna come and kidnap you or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, it was that insane. Um, but yeah, like he'd go out, let's say, with his friends, and he's not the kind of person that like goes out every day with his friends or stays out till, really like late hours or anything like that.
Mm,
But yeah, he does go out and see his friends, not a problem. But like he'd go out and then I'd just be texting him like 5 minutes later, oh, so when are you coming back home?
mm,
And then it got to a point where I was just like, I'm gonna basically end up pushing him away
yeah.
if something isn't done. And it's not that I was doing it deliberately, it was out of my control at the time because I was just so scared. And I think because I hadn't opened up to him as well, to him it probably just looked like me just being controlling and not wanting him to go anywhere. So I
Mm.
think taking that step to actually talk to him and let him in on like, this is what I'm going through, this is what I feel like, it made him actually understand that like I'm not doing this out of just pure psycho behavior wrong. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. And I'm guessing, obviously, in the result of that, you've now got a healthier relationship as well because you got your own things that you can do yourself as well.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, love that. That's amazing. Yeah, because you go on, I see on like your socials, and obviously, like we're in the same membership together. So Zikra goes on walks on her own as well. Like she has come so far on literally spending so much time on her own, which is just incredible. And again, obviously, like with the journaling, we love a bit of journaling. Journaling is probably like one of the best things when it comes to your mindset. Obviously, literally dumping everything on a piece of paper. I don't know what it is, but when you put everything on a piece of paper, you can just feel like a like a sigh of relief, and it's almost like you can think logically as well about it as well, not like making rash decisions when you're like, oh my God, this is happening or anything like that. But actually, when you put it down on a bit of paper, you can logically think of it. But yeah, no, I love the little diary though when you can like get a padlock and lock it up. But yeah.
Like it's very small, like it's like this size, and then it literally just comes with like a heart padlock, and then it's the cutest thing ever. My husband thinks I'm absolutely ridiculous for buying it, but it's fine.
Oh no, I love that. I'm sure I had one when I was a child. I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
had one when I was a child and it was purple, and then it came with like a pen, and then the top of the pen had like it was like fur on it. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I might have had something like that.
yeah, I had one of those, and I would just like sit in school just writing in it.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How you think that when you're a child, you're always like, Dear Diary, when actually we're now doing the same thing
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, pretty much. It's just now we're like fancier planners and
Yeah.
journals, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can still like start it off with Dear Diary. It's so weird.
I love that though. That's cool. Amazing. But yeah, so obviously, another exciting part of your life, you've even started your own business as well. So tell us a little bit about that and also how did your confidence play in a role in that? Because we'd love to know what you do.
Cool. So I'll start with the confidence part. Essentially, if I didn't work on myself and on my confidence, the business
Mm,
wouldn't exist. So I think when you don't have confidence in yourself, when you don't have self-trust, self-love, like when you don't work on the mindset, you just tell yourself that you're not capable of doing something. And I don't
yeah.
think I would have been able to start an entire business had I not worked on my confidence. I think I would have just kept telling myself I'm not capable of doing it and I'm not good enough. And yeah, those limiting beliefs still do come up at times of, I don't feel good enough and
Mm,
what if it fails or what if it doesn't work out? Like, but now like I am so much better with my limiting beliefs and I can just quickly like bounce back from them. But yeah, essentially if I did work on my confidence, the business would just not exist. Like it just wouldn't
yeah.
be there. Especially with me being like such a perfectionist and just like wanting everything to be done perfectly. Like I just wouldn't have been able to take that step and launch a business and go full time in it if I didn't believe in it or if I didn't believe in myself.
Mm,
Um, so that's the first part. And then, yeah, so as I said at the beginning, the business is called the Femme Creators. Um, really not sure how I got the name. It was just like I overthink names so much, and I'm sure you'll know this. Like with us being in the membership, like I'm always like, guys, I need a bit of help with a name for
yeah.
this for that. Like I always like overthink the name so much, and
Yeah.
I don't realize that like it's fine. I can always go back to the name later, and I can always like change it if I wanted to. Like just launch the thing and then deal with like the small finer details later.
Mm,
But yeah, honestly, don't know how that name came across, but we love it. Um, so yeah, I launched that, and like I said at the beginning, it's basically to help women CEOs and creators um, to build a standout personal brand. And yeah, just to live boldly, live authentically. Like I'm such a big like lover of like just being authentic, staying true to yourself. Um, I've I've always done that myself. Like I've always been myself. I've got like a no bullshit approach, if you will.
mm.
Like I'll just say things how they are. If you don't like it, then you don't like it.
Yeah.
To put it simply, like I know I wasn't put on this earth to be liked by everyone, and
Yeah.
honestly, to be disliked by people, I'm just like, yeah, that's great. Like I know I'm doing something. Like if someone's bothered by me or bothered by what I do or doesn't like me, then that just tells me I'm doing something right.
Yeah. It's a
Because
reflection on them.
yeah, exactly. It's a reflection on them and who they are.
Yeah.
It says more about them than it does about me. Um, and I'd rather be disliked for who I am
Mm,
than to be liked for someone that I'm not. Um, And I think, yeah, with how social media is, and sometimes it can be seen as, fake and people not being their true selves and stuff. I just really wanted to put a twist on that
mm.
and actually like show people and teach people that you can be yourself online. Like you don't have to, put this mask on and be someone that you're not just to fit in or just to be liked by people. Because I think at the end of the day, like regardless of what you do, there will always be someone that doesn't like you
Mm.
for no like good reason whatsoever. Like they might just hate the fact that you exist, to put it bluntly. Like you wouldn't even have to do anything to them. It could just be simply like they don't like the way you look or they don't like the way you talk. And that's out of your control. And I think the
Yeah.
way we are as humans, we try so much to focus on the things that we can't control.
Hmm.
And then when things don't go our way, we then just like it becomes a problem. But like I've just realized you can't control the way other people see you and the way other people feel about you. I can control how I feel about myself and how I
Yeah.
see myself and how I'm showing up. And what I'm doing and how I'm treating other people, I can't control what others are doing.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's essentially kind of why I started the business.
I love that. That's so powerful as well that you're literally like, no bullshit. I don't really care. I am me. If that bothers you, then jog on. Essentially. How do you like, I'm just going to add in a sneaky question here. If you do end up obviously on social media, say for example, someone does give you like a hate comment or something like that, which, you know, I've dealt with them quite a few times. How do you deal with that yourself?
Block.
Love.
There's a button for a reason. It's that simple. It goes back to, again, us as humans, we overthink everything.
Mm,
Like, the way I see it is, I mean, I've been lucky to not receive as much hate. Obviously I've received the odd comments here and there, but
yep,
I think even if I was someone that had received a lot of hate, honestly, I just wouldn't care for a few reasons. One, if those same people saw me in real life, they would not dare to say that shit to my face. Like they just wouldn't.
literally.
Like I remember one, like on TikTok, I posted a video. This was obviously a couple of years ago. This is like, when did I post it? A day before my wedding. I went to go get my wedding nails done, and I posted a video on TikTok. And someone didn't like the fact that I chose to go for short nails. Like I don't really get my nails done anymore, but when I did, I used to always get short nails. I've never been like someone who like
Yep.
long acrylics or long gel extensions or whatever. Like I've always been short nails.
Mm,
And yeah, so I got acrylics done for my wedding, but I just got them kind of fairly short. And she was just like, oh, like, they're very short, they're not really wedding appropriate. And I just thought, who on earth asked for your opinion? Like, I'm sorry, but last time I checked, you're not on the wedding invite list. So what are you doing in my comments? Just, yapping away. Honestly, I just found it so hilarious because I just thought if that person had seen me in real
mm,
life, she would not have come up and said, oh, by the way, I don't like your nails.
no.
Like, just wouldn't. So I just think people get so confident behind a screen because they just know that they can hide their identity, they can hide their name, they can hide their picture. Like nobody will essentially know who they are. Like
Mm,
these, hate comments and fake accounts and stuff, they literally all come from people that have like random letters and numbers as their username, no profile picture. Like you won't know who they are. So it's just like you're just gonna sit there and be a keyboard warrior and hide your identity just so that you can send a few hate comments.
yeah.
It's fine. Like it says more about you than it does about me. Um, so yeah, I've never let it get to me because I'm like, you've got to be so miserable in your life that you feel the need to go online and
Mm,
hate on a complete stranger. Like,
yeah.
I wish I had that much free time that I can just, you know what I mean? Obviously not to send hate, but like it's like you've really got to have so much free time in your life and so much energy.
Mm,
You've got, and I think it's just they're so unhappy in their lives and they're so unhappy in themselves that they then project that unhappiness onto someone else.
yeah.
But yeah, essentially, if I ever get a hate comment, I just block. Like you just belong, and that's the thing. People don't realize it gets to be that simple. Like there's a block
Mm,
button for a reason. You don't have to entertain the comment. You don't have to let it get to you because it doesn't. Like I said, it reflects more on them than it does on you. It's like if someone left you a hate comment and said, I don't know, I don't like the way your lips are so small, for example.
mm,
If you then believe that, that's a problem within you. You've got to then work on yourself and your confidence
yep.
because you shouldn't be believing things like that from complete strangers.
Yeah.
So yeah, just block.
Love it. Literally so simple.
Yeah, so simple. Like I don't care. I don't entertain it. I don't have the time to entertain it. Like I'd rather
Yep.
put my energy elsewhere than entertain someone who's miserable. Like
Yeah.
I see a hate comment and I'm like, you know what? I just pray that you get a bit of happiness in your life so that you can stop that. So
Yeah. I think there's always that thing as well on social media where it's like, oh, once you started getting those hate comments, you've made it. Like,
yeah.
yay.
Yeah, it's always like, oh, this person's made it now because they've got there. Yeah, you kind of feel like you have. Because when I got my first hate comment, I was like, oh my God, I've actually made it. Like people
Yeah.
I'm something for them to hate on me. So I'm like, yeah, clearly
Yeah.
I'm doing something that's like triggering them.
Yeah. I think I felt the same thing, same way actually when I first got mine. Because mine was just hilarious because mine just told me to go to the gym and I was like, Cool. Thanks, mate.
I would have responded and be like, yeah, sure, you're going to pay for my membership.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to make like a joke out of it,
Yeah.
or else it's just going to eat you up, essentially. Like, it
Oh
will
yeah.
really affect you mentally. Like, you just have to see it as a joke and just, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that, that you just need to just laugh it off and just be like, I don't really
Yeah,
care.
exactly.
Thanks. Great. And also as well, I love it when I get it on my YouTube because I'm just like, it's bringing up my views. I'm like,
Yeah.
thanks, baby.
I don't think they realize that, like, the more comments you're leaving on someone's page, the more their engagement is going out, the content is being pushed out. So it's like, carry on, the
Keep
floor's all
going.
yours.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, amazing. So obviously we just spoke about like your business, which sounds incredible and it's amazing. So obviously everything you've literally told us about your life, how obviously does this impact your confidence now?
As in everything that I've gone through or the changes I've made.
Yep, both. Like generally your confidence now.
Everything that I've gone through, yeah, at one point it absolutely knocked my confidence.
Mm.
But now that I'm like out on the other side, my confidence is back. Honestly, just I'm so much more firmer with my boundaries now. Like,
Mm.
I don't care who you are. Like, you could be family, you could be friends, co-workers, whoever. Like, I have very like strict boundaries. And the moment you cross that boundary, like that is it. You're basically dead to me.
Mm.
Because I just don't believe in people pleasing and giving people more than one chance. Like, if I've made something very clear to you and you've gone and acknowledged it, but then completely ignored it and, crossed that boundary and disrespected me, or, disrespected someone close to me, for example, like that's it. Like,
Mm.
there's no going back. There's no other way really to put it. Like, I'm just so much more, like I said, firm with my boundaries now. And I'll just say it how it is. Like, this is my boundary. If you're gonna accept it, great. If not, I don't want you in my life. Like,
Mm.
respectfully, just leave. Like I'll give you an example. One boundary that I really have, that I'm so strict on is don't talk to me about having kids. Now, I've obviously like I know I've made a decision that I will want to have a child in the future, but some people just love to, especially when you like get married, they'll be like, oh, so when are you having a child? And why haven't you had a child? And it's none of your business. Like, to put it in plain words, like it's just not your business. So that's one like boundary that I have that's like very strict. Like, just don't speak
Mm.
about having kids because it's such a sensitive topic. And I think it's just so rude to ask someone that. Like, you don't know what people are going through.
Yep.
You don't know if someone's had a miscarriage. You don't know if someone can't have kids. You don't know if someone just made the decision that they don't want to have kids.
Yep.
Like, you just don't know someone's situation. No matter how close you are to someone, you don't know what they're going through behind closed doors. And I think kids is such a sensitive topic. And some
Yeah.
people are just so like, they just don't care. Like, oh, when are you having a kid? Oh, I want grandchildren. I want this. I want that. Like, okay, what do you want me to do about that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to have a child to satisfy other people and please other people. I'm going to do it on my terms and when I'm ready and when my partner is ready. I'm not going to do it for you. So I have actually cut off people because of that. Like, just straight out, just cut them out of my life. I haven't spoken to them since.
Mm.
Um, because I just think like you just have to respect people and their wishes. Like, if
Yep.
someone's made something very clear to you and you've just gone and ignored it, then there's going to be consequences for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's one boundary I have, but there's so many other boundaries that I have. And like I said, if they're crossed, then I just cut that person out of my life straight away. Um, and yeah, another boundary I have as well that I'm so strict with is I don't like people coming to my house unannounced. It might be something so like minor, but
Mm.
I like value my privacy and my own space, and I just don't like people showing up
Yeah.
unannounced. Like, I don't care what the occasion is. Just like, it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and say, are you free? Can I come round?
Yeah.
And again, I've cut people off for disrespecting that boundary and just showing up without, letting me know or letting my partner know. Um, because it really just like it puts you in an awkward like
Mm.
position. Um, and I thought at first that I'm not someone that would ask someone to leave. Like if someone showed up to my house unannounced, I always thought I'd be the kind of person that would still let them in, but then, later on I'll just be like, okay, look, you've crossed the boundary here. Like, can we not do this again? But now, if someone showed up to my house unannounced, I'll just be like, can you leave?
Mm.
And I think it's gonna shock a lot of people, and it's gonna, you know, it is a controversial thing, but I just think I don't care. Like I need to, if you don't respect me, that's fine, but I respect myself and I respect my time.
Mm.
And I'm just not gonna have someone just, show up to my house without even letting me know because I could have been doing anything. I might not even be in the house to start off with.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I could be busy, I could be unwell, I could already have guests around. Like, you don't just show up to someone's house and people just see it as like such a minor thing. And I think for a lot of people
Mm.
as well, when it's like family or friends doing it, they think because they've got like a title in your life, whether it's your mom, your sister,
Mm.
your in-laws, your friends, like whoever, they think because they've got that title, then they've got a free pass to kind of just do what they want, essentially. But
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't work like that. Like I couldn't care less who you are, you don't show up to my house unannounced, like period. So yeah, I cut off people for doing that. And I think that's another thing as well that like really helped grow my confidence, the way I'm just like so strict with my boundaries.
Yeah.
And if I have to cut someone off because of it, it really doesn't bother me. I think maybe years ago I would have really gotten upset if I've like cut someone off that I was close with. Now I'm like, I don't care. You technically asked for it. Like, don't cross my boundaries if then you don't want to be essentially kicked out of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I've rambled on about that a bit too much, but yeah,
No, I think it's a good thing to have boundaries, and like you say, it's to respect yourself as well. Like you are the person you spend the longest with, and you've got to respect yourself. You've got to like know your self-worth. And I think, yeah, I respect that massively that you're just like, nope, I have these boundaries. This is what they are. If you don't like it,
jog
go,
off.
basically, pretty
Yeah,
much. I get that though with the whole kid situation because I've had that multiple times where people have said to me, well, when are you having kids? And it's been a decision that both me and my partner have gone, we're not having kids. And there are other circumstances as well, but we made that decision together that
yeah,
because I always knew hand on heart myself before we even got together that I didn't want kids.
yeah.
And it was like I had to tell him before we even
Got together, yeah.
yeah, got together that I was like, I don't want kids because I don't want it to be, it's basically a deal breaker for me. If someone wanted kids, then I'd be like, I can't essentially be with you. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but that's it. And I found out that actually he didn't want kids either. So it was like, this is amazing. But you get it from so many people where it's just like, well, when are you having kids? And I'm like, I'm not. And they're like, well, why?
yeah,
It'd be like you're robbing like your parents of having a grandchild and things like that. And I'm like, that's my decision. It's my life. It's not anyone else's. It's what I decide I want to do. And it's the same as well. Like, I don't know if you got this. When I got engaged straight away, when's the wedding? We're not getting married yet. I'm like, that's our decision. We want to
yeah,
do other things. There's different priorities that we have in our life before we get married, before we have a wedding. And that's how it's going to be. I'm not in a rush to be like, let's go and get married tomorrow. I'm not about that. And I think that's the thing, like people do need to respect what other people are going to do in their lives because at the end of the day, it's their life. It's
yeah.
not yours. So,
Yeah, honestly, I think people just forget that a relationship involves two people
yeah.
only. Like, why are you giving advice and why are you questioning people on the decision that they make as a
Mm,
couple? Like, it's just absolutely crazy. Like, yeah, when I got married straight away, oh, when are you gonna have kids? Um,
mm,
and I think especially for women, we get it so much harder because obviously there comes an age where there's obviously going to be more complications with having kids, and
yeah.
like I totally get that. But like, I'm sorry, that's not a reason for me to then go and have a kid just because I might not like in the future. Like I'm a big believer in God, and like my faith is so like important to me. And I know like
Mm.
if God has planned for me to have a kid, I will have a kid,
Yeah.
whether it's tomorrow, next year, the year after. Like if like I really believe like everything's already written for us. Like that's just like me, my in my religion. Like everything's already written for me. And if it's been written for me that I'm going to have a kid, I will have one,
Mm.
regardless of whether I plan it or not, regardless of whether I take birth control or not. Like it will happen essentially.
Yeah.
And if God has planned that I'm never going to have a kid, then I'm never going to have a kid, regardless of what I do, regardless of any treatments that I have, regardless of what doctors say. Like it just won't happen if it's not meant to be. And I think people don't realize that like these kind of things are just so out of control. Like you can
Yeah.
plan to have a kid, but if it's not meant to happen, it's not going to happen. So for me, it was just like I'm not going to have a kid just to please people in my life because that is just so like it's just so wrong. Like
Yeah.
this conversation with someone in my family yesterday. I'm not gonna say who, but someone in my family yesterday did say to me, "Oh, like, when are you gonna have a kid?" This is immediate family, by the way. When are you gonna have a kid? Like, you're 27 now. Time is ticking. Like, also got like endometriosis, and what if you can't have a kid? Then so what? Like
Mm.
literally, so what? Who it doesn't matter if like there's more important things to me right now, one of them being my health.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I never said I don't want to have a kid. That's not what I've said. But like I'm just not gonna sit there and like cry about it if I can't have a kid. Like it's out of my control.
Mm.
Um yeah, so I literally just kept getting questioned yesterday, and I was like, oh, but you're 27, and you're gonna get to an age where like there's complications, and
Your
what if
clock's
this
ticking.
and what if yeah, the clock's ticking, and it's like I was not put on this earth
Yes.
to just have a child. Like there's so
Yes.
much more, and I think as well, like obviously you making that decision to not want to have kids, and then people questioning it because people, I don't know why, but they see having kids as like it gives your life purpose, which is
Mm.
fine. I'm not saying that's wrong, but like other things give me purpose as well. Like I'm not going to be one of those people that are like, oh, kids is the only thing that's ever given me purpose in life. No, there's so much other things that give us purpose in life. There's so much other things that make us happy,
Yeah.
not just having a kid.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
100%.
like when you tell people that you're not going to have kids at all or that you're not going to have them yet, they just look at you like what the hell are you doing with your life,
Yeah.
basically? Like,
Yeah.
I'm
I
living my
generally
life.
feel as well like it's a societal thing as well, especially like with I've noticed it like with the older generation when they ask me, and it's like almost as if, like you say, like the only purpose that I have put on this earth is to bear children. And I'm like, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, it's not the 1950s. I didn't ask to be a housewife. I didn't ask to be like someone who just literally looks after children. And obviously, some people do have that. That is their dream, that they just want to be a mum. And that's amazing and that's incredible. But that's not my dream. I have other dreams that I want. And I just think that it's just frustrating that people don't seem to take like what you want to do in life as like a final full
Yeah.
stop and that's it. And it's like, oh, but no.
There's
You're
no
like,
discussion around it. It's like that's it. Like
yeah.
you do what you want with your life and I'll do what I want with my life. It's like one thing I've always spoken about is yes, I'll be a mum one day, but I'm still going to want to work.
Mm,
Whether that's working for someone else or working for myself, I don't know because I don't know what the future holds. But I
yeah.
just know for a fact that I essentially will be, well, want to be a working mum. And people just get so triggered by that. Like, oh my God, but how can you work whilst you have kids? And you won't be able to be like, I remember once I saw someone saying that you can't be a present mum, but also be present in your job. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. I
Mm,
know I can. Like, just because you're not capable of doing something doesn't mean the entire world isn't capable of doing it either.
yeah.
Like, it's just so silly. Like, It's fine if you believe that you can't work and have a child at the same time because you can't be present in both work and motherhood. That's fine. Like that's your business. But I know I can and I know I will. And there's so many other people that do it as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's just stop judging people for the choices that they make in their life.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I would literally clap to that. Because I agree. I massively agree. But yeah, so obviously we like digressed a bit there and was like
Yeah,
talking about
we just took a whole different route. Like, why did we have a whole conversation on kids?
but yeah. Oh
Wait,
well.
it's
Um
important though, because definitely like plays into like confidence definitely plays into it because you've got to be so
mm,
confident in yourself and the choices and the decisions that you make in life and not
yes.
let other people kind of steer you away from what you want. So yeah, it really all links to be fair.
Yeah, and also like being decisive as well.
Yeah.
Because I think like you say, like being a people pleaser and things like that, like having the confidence to be like, no, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't care anyone like what anyone else says, rather than being like, oh, I'm gonna change my mind or
Yeah.
like you change it like every 5 minutes. But yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. That confidence, yeah, does play a part in that. So for anyone who is listening right now and is struggling with their confidence, what top tips would you give them?
Journal.
I thought you might say that.
Journal, honestly, like it's such a like small action that you can just integrate into your life. Like
Mm,
it doesn't have to take long. It literally can be 5 minutes every day. And that's it. Like just pick up, like you don't even have to have a fancy planner for it. Literally could just be anything. Like even get a piece of paper and just, you know, let everything out.
mm,
Like it just helps you so much with, like I said, like your confidence and your mindset. And I go back to the whole like out of mind, out of sight thing. Like when something's constantly in your mind, you're constantly thinking about it, you're constantly worrying about it. But then
mm,
when it's like out of your mind onto a piece of paper, it's like that's it. Like it's almost kind of like it's left you, if you know what
yeah.
I mean. It's like you're removing it from yourself and you're just putting it elsewhere. If you want to go ahead and burn the piece of paper after, do it. I've done that before, like loved it. Like I literally just this was back in when did I do this? It was like sometime last year or maybe actually beginning of this year. But I got a piece of paper and I wrote down everything that I had felt from like all the trauma that I went through back in 2021. And I just put it all onto paper because there was some things that like I just rather like putting them onto paper than
Yeah.
talking to the people about like I didn't really want to like talk to the people that hurt me
Mm,
because to put it in simple words, they just wouldn't understand.
yep.
There are some people that are so toxic and you just can't have a conversation with them. You can't like you just can't talk to them. Like they just it goes through one ear and back out the other. Like they just don't listen. They won't take, responsibility for their actions. They won't hold themselves accountable for things that they do wrong. And for me, it's like
Mm,
I don't want to waste my time with people that just won't take responsibility and know when they've done something wrong. So everything I had wanted to say to certain people, I just put it all onto a piece of paper, burnt it. I literally sat in the garden watching that paper just burn into bits and pieces. And holy shit, the confidence that it just gave me after, I was like, damn, I could do anything. Like, I was going to say something, but I'm going to have to say it off record because not wise. But I'll tell you afterwards. But yeah, it just felt so like empowering to
mm,
do that. So yeah, I would just say like if you really want to work on your confidence, journal, that's the main thing. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like whether it's going to events by yourself, whether it's
yep.
like even if you just want to go to Costa by yourself and just grab a drink, like and just be present
Yep.
with yourself in that moment, like it really helps your confidence so much. I think it's yeah, I'd say those are kind of like things that you can do just to apply in everyday life, but I think it also depends what you're doing. Like if you're a business owner, for example, put yourself in situations where you go to business events, or where, where you're putting yourself into the room with like other CEOs and other business owners, and like networking with people, um, even doing things like this, like going on a podcast or doing a live collaboration with someone, like that builds your confidence so much. And honestly, going back to 2021, like if you had told me then that I'd be doing lives and podcasts, like guest speaking with people, I would have told you to just do one. I would have said, not like, just not going to happen, like no way. But yeah, that builds your confidence so much as well, because it really just, like, you're doing something that you never thought you'd be able to do, and it's like once you've done it, you then realize, actually I can do so much and I'm capable of doing so much.
Yep.
But yeah, no, my top tip literally has to be journaling. Like, it's changed my life so much. And I know it's been the same for you as well. Like, we're just like journaling queens, guys. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Love that. Love that so much. But no, this has been an incredible, like, just to listen to your story and just everything about mental health, which I know for a lot of us, we are affected by mental health. And it's just lovely to hear the fact that you are now on the other side of it, and what you're doing with your life is just insane. So yeah, thank you ever so much for coming on here. If anyone actually wants to come and find you on Instagram, where can they find you?
So I've got two accounts. My personal one, which is just Zikra Buhafs. On there I just post like lifestyle content, business content. I share like my journey of like building the business from like the ground up, basically. So yeah, just all things like lifestyle, I guess. And then I have the Femme Creators, which is the business page.
Amazing. I'll put them obviously in the show notes and the description box on YouTube. But yeah, this has been an amazing conversation with you. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I've absolutely loved it. And yeah, so thank you so much and take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome.